Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're tackling something I know we've all dealt with: web framework bloat. Python is absolutely loved for its clean syntax, right? But when we start building for the web, man, we often just shoot ourselves in the foot by reaching for the absolute heaviest tools out there. Well, let's look at a totally brilliant alternative. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the case for minimalism. Then we'll formally meet the bottle framework. After that, we'll dive into 7 reasons to actually choose bottle, build your very first app, and wrap up with exactly when you should use it. Let's get into it.
All right, section 1, the case for minimalism and how we can finally start beating framework bloat.
So let's start with a pain point I think we're all pretty familiar with: the overwhelming complexity, and honestly, the massive setup times of modern web development. Think about your next weekend prototype, or maybe a simple API you need to spin up quickly. Ask yourself, does it truly need a heavyweight architecture like Django or Flask? Or are you just kind of overcomplicating your workflow by default? It's a huge trap we all fall into, just assuming bigger is always better. And that brings us to a really crucial philosophy for today's explainer: minimalistic web development. Simply put, this means providing exactly enough functionality to meet your goals without overcomplicating your codebase. Now, to be clear, minimalism does not mean sacrificing quality or, giving up essential features. Actually, scratch that. It's more like you're intentionally focusing on creating a super streamlined product by stripping away all the unnecessary components that just get in your way. So when you actually embrace this approach, you get 4 massive benefits. First, simplicity, which literally translates to easier readability and way fewer bugs. Then, efficiency. You're reducing development time and boosting performance. Third is scalability, meaning you can add features later with minimal disruption to your core system. And finally, cost effectiveness, which is an absolute game changer, especially if you're a startup running on a really tight budget. Moving right along, section 2, meet the bottle framework, the ultimate micro solution. Now, Bottle is a purpose-built micro-web framework designed specifically to bring those exact minimalist principles directly into your Python projects. It's not trying to be a massive do-it-all solution, right? It's heavily optimized to be the absolute perfect choice for small applications, rapid prototyping, and quick projects where you just need to get something working flawlessly without a massive, draining time investment upfront. Okay, on to section 3, 7 reasons to choose Bottle. We're talking micro size, but macro power. The number 1 here represents Bottle's most mind-blowing advantage for sure: single file deployment. I mean it. The entire framework is contained within a single Python file. No complex directories, no messy configuration files, just incredibly easy deployment and distribution. If you're a developer who is just exhausted from wrestling with the massive complexities of larger frameworks, this single file setup is going to feel like a total breath of fresh air. But wait, even better than 1 is 0. Why? Because Bottle requires exactly 0 external dependencies, aside from the Python standard library. That means you completely avoid dependency hell. It massively reduces the risk of weird dependency conflicts and simplifies your installation process down to, well, virtually nothing. You get to just sit down and focus entirely on building your app without the constant headache of managing and updating a million external packages. And beyond those 2 huge facts, you get 5 additional superpowers. Check this out. You get a built-in development server for super rapid local testing. It's highly flexible with plugins, and it's 100% WSGI compatible, meaning you can easily deploy it on Apache or Junicorn. Toss in a remarkably easy learning curve and really robust community support and documentation, and you've got a shockingly powerful toolset for such a tiny footprint. All right, let's get practical. Section 4, building your first app. Hello world in just 4 lines. Take a look at how elegantly simple this really is. In literally a few lines of code, you have a fully functional web application. Step 1, we just import route and run from Bottle. Step 2, we use a super simple decorator, @route/hello, to define our web endpoint, and we just have the function underneath it return the string hello world. Finally, step 3, we execute run, pointing it to localhost on port 8080. Notice how we just import, route, and run. It's this seamless mini story of execution that totally bypasses the sluggish setup and massive config files you'd normally need. You run this script, and boom, it instantly starts a local server where your output is live.
So the code is simple, but we need to know when to actually use it. Section 5, when to use Bottle, strategic application. To really maximize your efficiency, you have to apply Bottle to the right jobs, right? It is absolutely unmatched for rapid prototyping when you just need to validate ideas quickly. It's also perfect for building simple RESTful APIs without lugging around massive unnecessary overhead. And naturally, it just excels at any small-scale web app that doesn't demand super complex architectural patterns. Basically, it all comes down to picking the right tool for the job. You want to choose Bottle for your lightweight necessities, right? Core features, rapid, simple deployment. But, and this is important, if you're tackling a massive, large-scale project that demands a highly robust, complex architecture, well, that's when you upgrade to heavyweights like Flask or Django, which have extensive built-in features made specifically to manage that kind of scale. We've seen how this whole philosophy of minimalism can instantly streamline your workflow, save you serious resources, and really just clear out the clutter that slows down modern web development. Bottle proves that sometimes less truly is more. By giving you this single-file, zero-dependency environment, it hands you back your most valuable asset, your time. So the only question left to ask yourself before you sit down to start coding your next prototype is this: what will you build with your single file? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and happy coding.